according to Jackie McMullen, the Timberwolves are dying to trade for John Collins. Quote, Minnesota is dying to have Collins. Minnesota wants him bad. What will they offer? I don't know. They really want him. I think there are other teams too, but Minnesota particularly. And then we have this from the KSTP's Darren Wolfson, who says that Collins Camp views playing next to Karl Anthony Towns as favorable. So my question is to you, and I know we talked about this next week. What would the Wolves realistically have to give up to get Collins? And we'll start with you, Jared. What do you think the Wolves would have to give up, and would it be worth it?
It brings up kind of an interesting point, because we're at a point now where we can add a guy like Collins, but can we re-sign him? That's
exactly.
And he's only making like $4 million, so we can match contracts. And if we are going to trade for him, we're going to sign him. So that means that money's going to have to get shaken up a little bit. I think if we trade for Collins, I think we'd make multiple moves at the deadline, just because we're going to be looking to get rid of some salary. I mean, I don't know. I mean, can it work? Absolutely. I mean, we can easily match his $4 million contract, but
right.
But what assets can we give up that they would be interested in? I don't know. Would you be looking at a guy like Vanderbilt? Would you be looking at a guy like Noel or McDaniels? Probably maybe one or two of the three, just because other than that, you're going to be looking at draft picks, and that doesn't necessarily excite me unless it's in the second round. But
right.
Can we trade for him? Absolutely, we can. But I think that there would be more behind the scenes work with a deal like that, making sure that they extend him. And I just don't know if the money would be there until the off season, which he could say, I want more than you ever expected me to. And then you're stuck with this trade that you made and you kind of have to pay him.
Right. Chris, what do you think?
I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, I don't know who this the first person you quoted as, but one thing I do know about the Timberwolves organization is they keep a lot of stuff really tight to the vest. So I doubt they're leaking that they're dying to get Collins. Yes, I'm sure they would like him. That's great. And Doogie, very respected guy, went to my high school a couple years ahead of me, so I remember seeing him as a high school kid. He, the quote of, they'd be favorable. Like, that's not, like, how is that even news? Like, come on. Like, oh, yeah, so he'd like to play next to an all-star? Yeah, of course. Like, he'll play anywhere that's going to pay him. But like Jared said, the money's not there. Like, the only way to do it is Rubio's going to have to go somewhere other than Atlanta, because you can't send $17 million for $4 million. So that won't work. So Rubio's going to have to go somewhere. We're going to have to get back no money for next year. So it'd have to be trade him somewhere, and all we're getting back is a 1-year contract that, is done at the end of this year. And that's not even going to bring us close to enough. So I don't know, man. I would like to see it work. I just don't know how. I think the only way it works for Collins in Minnesota is if we call his bluff on him wanting a max or near max and say, okay, well, you go find this max deal as a restricted free agent. And I don't think teams will give it to him. And then we'll be able to get him for 17, 18 million. I think that's the only way he works out here. And even at that, I mean, that's going to be tough to eat under our salary cap. But to get it done, like I said last podcast, I don't think we're going to have to give up that much, because he's a rental. And like you said, once this season's over, he has his value. Like, you're not getting any value because you're paying him value. His contract is his value. So it's not like you're getting a deal at that point. So you might give up some seconds, and maybe, I mean, if I was Atlanta, I would take a shot at a guy like Culver. Because I wouldn't, if I was Minnesota, I wouldn't trade him McDaniels. I mean, if they wanted Vanderbilt, I'd give him Vanderbilt. but I would take a shot on a guy like Culver if I was Atlanta and just hope it works out. And if it doesn't, just don't pick up his options and let him walk. And oh well.
And
But
one
yeah,
thing about,
I don't know how it'll work.
and one thing about Atlanta is they hate Collins, and I don't know if it's them as an organization or if it's because Trae Young hates him, but those dudes don't get along. And I've said that for the last 2 or 3 podcasts now. And his minutes have actually been cut a lot lately. Gallinari's getting almost eaten into almost all of his minutes. Like he's playing like 20 to 25 minutes, and he's pissed off. He wants to get out, and they know it's going to happen. So it just needs to get done, whether it's to us or to a different team. But an interesting note about the Hawks right now is under Nate McMillan, they are 4-0 since the hiring of Nate McMillan.
Nice. Well, like you said, you said they don't like him. So this is what they did last year. So they trade for Clint Capella, which is instantly like a guy who's going to be taking some of the touches away from John Collins. And then they signed Danilo Gallinari for 3 years at $20 million apiece. So that's saying that, okay, this guy's going to be a significant piece of our thing. So he's a power forward taking from John Collins. And then they go and they get a Kongwu in the first round, So it's like you draft a guy high in the first round. So now you're using all your assets you had to replace a guy that's on your roster that's supposedly a near all-star. Like, yeah, there's definitely some weird things going on with Collins in Atlanta. I don't know. I would be very surprised if he's a Timberwolf. Very surprised.